8:40, 13, highs of 23. It's Monday, October the 2nd on City TV's Breakfast Television. Victor Pross, you're an artist, and it's just great to have you here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
This is something that you picked up at the age of 3. Your ability to sketch and go beyond that in a way that you've been able to earn a living as well. Congratulations, that's always important. You're putting together a book called Icons and Idols, a portrait of the 20th century, coming out next year. Let's look at some of the people that you think have been important in the 20th century and how you see them. You see them very differently than we do. Let's go over here to the Rolling Stones. I guess I maybe gave it away, but it's kind of obvious with the most obvious, Mick Jagger and the big lips. But give me an example of what you saw in your mind's eye.
Well, yeah, the Rolling Stones definitely are the bad boys of rock and roll. So with the chaotic kind of splattering of paint, I wanted to convey that party, wild, anarchist bad boy of rock and roll, obviously. Their
eyes, each and every one of them, look a little drugged, a little vacant, a little vacuous. What is that telling you?
Well, exactly. And in fact, somebody mentioned before that I recently saw a photograph of Keith Richards, for example, and I'm doing him a favor, actually. I think he looks a lot better than he does in real life. So
now that brings up an interesting point. When you think of a caricature artist, you think about, or any results of a caricature artist, think about exaggerations, that it's usually the negative way of looking at somebody. That's not necessarily the case.
No, it's in some cases, a lot of the people that I do aren't necessarily people that I'm attacking or deplore, which caricatures are usually taken to be a scathing attack on the person.
Yes, we think of humor and newspapers and editorials all done within a caricature.
Right, and that has been the history of it so far, but I want to push it to suggest that it's a legitimate means of expression, and it doesn't necessarily have to supplement an article. It can be an end in itself.
Let's look at this right along here. I don't know how you feel about Michael Jackson, but I'm getting the sense that you're not his biggest fan. So you've just said the opposite of what you, or done the opposite of what you said. Tell me what you felt here as you were sketching him.
Well, I mean, I have mixed feelings about Michael Jackson. I think that he's an extraordinary talent. He can dance, he can sing, he can do it all. He's a great showmanship. But let's admit it, he's
a little different.
From a cultural example, we have a raised eyebrow when it comes to this guy. Like, what is he?
He's got several.
Very strange.
Now, what is this Planet of the Apes character supposed to represent?
Well, he has a pet chimpanzee that he has an affection for. But I instead of making it an actual chimpanzee, I put it Planet of the Apes.
That's very clever. You seem to have a real affinity for Mick Jagger and those enormous lips. They go into a room before he does.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so, and you got the idea there. It is taking distinct features of somebody and exaggerating them and pushing the envelope on visual wit.
Now, do you look at a photograph and see what strikes you as being different? If you were to look at a face, for instance, would you be able to say to yourself, all right, just before I sketch, this is what jumps out at me. This is what I'm going to tell on paper what my feelings are about that face?
Sure, yeah. It's I'll study quite a few photographs. I'll even get a history of the person. I'd rather not paint or draw a person if I don't know nothing about them, and studying their photograph itself won't do it.
I'm upside down, so I can't see.
That's Humphrey Bogart.
Oh, it is, yes, and the cigarettes that killed him, that's in his hand. And I feel something underneath, so I'll flip it over. Orson Welles. Now, these could be the worlds, of War of the Worlds, and maybe those are several worlds right there. Or bubbles from all the wine he drank, I don't know.
Yeah, or studio lights, we can have a few takes on it,
absolutely.
That's for sure.
Jean Chrétien, that's funny because he has a very distinct face and a way of speaking, but also, as politicians do, they speak out of either side of their mouths, and so you've got him on one side.
I never thought of that, and I think that that's very, very clever on your part.
This, the wonderful Ronnie Reagan, who's struggling and very much supported by the American people in his struggle with Alzheimer's. Who's that?
This is William Burroughs of the Beat generation, of the Jack Kerouac on the Road and Naked Lunch.
Who didn't get charged with murder, even though he shot somebody in the head thinking he was William Tell. Adrian. This is, of course, Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sure.
And here we have his distinctive features being he has very sleepy eyes and the mouth.
This is all done with great respect. We're looking forward to your book. It's coming out next year. Icons and Idols, a portrait of the 20th century. Thanks, Victor.
Thank you.
It's very good to meet you. It is 8:45. Back into the City Pulse newsroom to check in with Kevin. Thanks.
And let's go to the streets, take another look at what's happening.